Guidance is internal. Ignition sequence starts. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Permission to board. Permission to come aboard. Permission to board. Permission to bring me aboard. Permission to come aboard.
Welcome to the Permission Granted podcast. Here's DA.
Welcome inside the freshest edition of the Permission Granted podcast, everybody. This is all off of the air goodness, so hopefully you enjoy this. We've been embedding them in our Facebook page, and seems like it's been really popular for you guys. So if you want to listen to this via Facebook, you can always do that. We have kind of a video B-roll that goes along with this. So that's facebook.com/The DA Show. So there's always that platform to listen to it. But just so you know, you can find it on iTunes as well and SoundCloud. So if you ever kind of use those audio platforms to listen to stuff on your iPhone, your iPod, what have you, your smartphone, on iTunes, on SoundCloud, it's part of our same normal podcast feed, which is The DA Show, CBS Sports, and I'll tweet them out and put them on Facebook as well. All these are on YouTube also, youtube.com/The DA Show. Coming up, very excited, comedian Jo Koy is going to join us here on the program. And then Mraz is going to join me a little bit later on. And Mraz is going to be joined by Bully Berman, a.k.a. Bitter Berman, here on the podcast. So that should be a lot of fun as well. Really excited to have on our next guest. Really funny guy. You've seen him all over the place. Chelsea lately, a number of specials. Comedian, and he's also going to be performing in Atlanta at the Improv Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Jo Koy joins us here on the show. Joe, how are you, my man?
Hello, sir. Have not slept. 24 hours I've been up.
24? What you been doing to stay awake? You just pounding like energy drinks?
Yeah, coffee basically. So, it was my birthday yesterday. So,
hey, happy birthday!
Yeah, so I did the whole birthday thing, and then just been working nonstop. We got on a plane and now I'm in New York. I'm getting ready to do the nightly show and then off to Atlanta. I'm dead, man. You're literally talking to a dead man right now. Were you able to actually physically feel when you went from drunk to hungover or sober as you've been doing this after your birthday? It was so funny because it's so funny you said that. Because right around 3:30 in the morning, I was like, I have to catch a plane, right? I don't think they're going to let me on, man. You got to do your best to act like you're sober. Clearly, you're just a drunk guy acting sober. You're trying to put on that face. Yeah. I have my ID 1 second. Everybody knows that guy, too, because you're the one sucking down like a giant bottle of Evian water that you would never buy otherwise in the airport, but it's like $18. You're like, I need water. Yeah. Let me get the largest water. And you smell like foot. You just smell bad. Yeah. Hey, I saw a month ago you were actually at the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. I know you were pulling for Pac-Man, but how was the experience? Hands down, the most exciting intro I've ever been to. I've been to several fights too, by the way, but this one was the most exciting intro. Them walking into the ring. I mean, you could cut it with a knife. The energy that was in that room, and the minute the bell rang, it became Dancing with the Stars. It was the worst boxing fight I've ever witnessed live. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I know. And the question is, how the hell did you get in that building? That was like the most expensive ticket of all time. Yeah. I perform at the Treasure Island, and the lady that books me at the Treasure Island is married to the guy that's the head of entertainment at MGM. I swear to God, that's how I got it, man. Nice. And I could have sold those tickets. I was 12 rows, about 13 rows from the ring. Oh. I was sitting next to Evander Holyfield. Oh. He hated it. Every round, he kept looking at my son, going, "What is that?" And I'm like, if Evander can construct 3 words together, he's really pissed. He's not happy at all. What was the best fight you were actually ever at? My favorite one would have to be, there's 2 I think I'm going to have to go with on this one. When De La Hoya knocked out, what's his name? The kid with just the bangs. Remember? I can't even remember his name. Oh, man, this sucks. I'm so sorry. It's all right. We'll come back to it. Knocked him out. And then when I went to go see Trinidad, get knocked out.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
He got
Felix
knocked
Trinidad.
Out. That was an amazing fight, too.
Yeah, I mean, every time you go to one of these kind of big bouts and prize fights, the electricity in the building is unlike any other, and you end up just having your head on a swivel, right? Because there's so many celebrities that you're walking by. You're like, am I on the red carpet or am I at a sporting event? It's so weird.
Yeah, that is crazy. I remember one time I sat next to The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, man. I was like, oh, there's a reason why this guy is a movie star, because I couldn't stop checking him out. I'm like, this is a handsome man. You are a handsome man. That's what I said to him. In my head, I said that. You're handsome, sir. Unbelievable. He's a specimen. I was like, who is this man?
You know, I wanted to ask you about your hat collection, because you have this epic hat collection. You got a ton of different colors, ton of different hats, a ton of different sports teams. What is your theme is it always LA stuff? What do you usually go with?
I like to stay with LA, but I also like to collect hats, whatever city I'm in as well. Like it's when you're on the road every week, you need to find something to make you sane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess finding hats is a big thing for me. That's like my little hobby, to find like the coolest hat in that town or whatever. So I got like this huge hat collection, man. It's the whole closet is full. I have a whole closet dedicated to hats. I'm a grown man, by the way.
So it's kind of like your sneaker infatuation, right?
That's even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
The cool thing about that, though, is I've been giving them away. I like at the end of shows, like people have been coming up to me because they know I give them away, and so that's kind of cool. The fans know that, if you ask, sometimes I just give my shoe to them. It's the funniest thing, and these people come up, hey man, can I get those? And I'm like, yeah, here you go.
That's awesome.
It's been kind of like this thing now. Like people are walking up to me asking for my shoes,
begging for your shoes, knowing that you're just
But it's a cool thing, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, here you go. Because every city I buy a pair of shoes anyway, so it's like I'm not going to come home with 9 pairs of shoes. It's just so dumb.
Right.
It's so ridiculous. It's like Imelda Marcos on tour. If anyone can get that reference.
That's great. You actually ended up selling out all of your shows at the San Jose Improv. And so the Bay Area, what a great place it is to perform, I'm sure, and to visit, one of my favorite cities and regions of the country. How cool was that to have just 10 banged out shows up there?
You know what's crazy, man, is there's a lot of these improvs that I'm doing that now with, and it's like sometimes I have to pinch myself. I do it in Chicago too. Chicago, I do 10 shows. San Francisco, I do 10 shows, and San Jose, 10. It's like, I sit back and I'm like, is this really happening? Like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And for San Jose to be sold out when I just did San Francisco, I mean, they're only an hour apart,
Yeah.
And it's just, man, God bless it, man. That's why I always keep, like, even though I haven't slept and had to get on a plane and, I could be miserable, but I always pinch myself and go, hey, man, you could be at Nordstrom Rack. You can still be selling shoes and shelving books like you used to be. So I thank God for this, man.
You talk about that a lot in your act, just, having grinded through all of those years doing stand-up and doing the little venues, et cetera. So when you finally kind of arrive and you have this type of success and sold-out shows in major areas and kind of on this level, do you reflect back on how hard it was at first and all the years it took to kind of get to this point?
Oh, my God, yeah. And, I mean, it's so funny because I used to hand out flyers at the end of every show. Any guy that I opened for, any, like, headliner that I would open for, I would just run to the parking lot and just hand out flyers the whole time, just pushing my website and, you know what I mean? And then I was handing out DVDs for free and just whatever I could do to get people to go home with my name,
Yeah.
And then fast forward to where I'm at now. I was doing a show, I think it was in Omaha, Nebraska, out of all the places. And this guy was like, yo, I saw you opening for somebody in New York, and you gave me a card, and I saved it. And I go, get out of here. And it was in his wallet. And I thought that was the coolest thing that's ever happened in my career, that this man has held onto this card and put it in his wallet all these years.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
wow.
It was a cool card, and I understood why he kept it, because it was a picture of my son crying.
Yeah,
and it's a really, really funny picture of my son crying, and you know what I mean. And it just all it said was JoeKoy.com. That's it. No phone number, no bookings, none of that. It's just JoeKoy.com, and then my son crying. And this guy had the picture of it, and he pulled it out of his wallet. And I gave him everything on my merch table. I go, take everything, man. It was the coolest. It was really cool, man. It came full circle, and that one card out of the hundreds of thousands of cards that I handed out, in my career, that one meant that much to me because it really paid off. You know what I mean? I knew that it did something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like looking through the looking glass a little bit, and you're trying to achieve something for so long, and then you have one of those moments where you can look back at where you were and that you had kind of gotten to a place that you were hoping for at that time. And and if you can remember that feeling, man, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, when he showed me that card, it brought back so many memories of just like living in the one-bedroom apartment with my son, and you know what I mean, and just like being like saving up enough money to get these cards printed, because I remember they were $500 for 10,000 cards, and I remember like that was a lot of money for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then to just hand them out for free, I was just like, God, what am I doing? But to see that that one card meant, these people, there are people that it touched, and there were people that appreciated it and took it home. So that meant everything. That one card was made up for all the money I spent on pushing my product. You know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That is a really powerful type of moment and story. You've had so many huge successes. You've been on Jimmy Kimmel Live and Last Call with Carson Daly and done all these great shows. And you did VH1's I Love series. But then I think a lot of people probably recognize you most from Chelsea Lately and being a regular guest there. That was such a huge show. And there was kind of a controlled chaos about it. What was doing that show like?
When I met Chelsea, I met her through John Lovett. I tell this story all the time because John, I feel, is the one that kind of discovered her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he had a show that was like in L.A., and it was his own show, and he'd only have a couple people open for him. I was blessed to be one of those guys. And then he was like, "You have to meet Chelsea Handler. She's hysterical." I'm serious. He's my only friend on MySpace. And I went to his MySpace and I saw her, and then she started opening for us, and she just walked right up to me and she's like, "I got this show and I want you to be on it," and blah, blah, blah. And that was how that whole relationship started, man. So, and that's how she was with basically everybody on that panel. And I think that's what made that show so successful, that you could almost feel like there was genuine banter going on instead of like fake banter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we weren't pretending to fight, or we weren't pretending to defend ourselves with her. She was really like that, and that's how she was off camera, and that's how she was if we went to the bar, and it translated. And I think that's what made that show so successful. And I was just blessed to be a part of that show, you know what I mean, especially in the beginning. And the cool thing about that show is it was kind of like the new Tonight Show. Yeah, I mean, like the new Johnny Carson. You know what I mean? Like if you killed on Johnny Carson, you were pretty much going to make it in Hollywood, you know? And that's the same thing with Chelsea. If you crush on her show, when you went on the road, it showed, man. People came out. If you did good on that panel, sold out shows, man. You know what I mean? It's just crazy.
Yeah, I know.
It's nuts.
And a lot of people from that show became household names, then went on to other stuff, and everybody remembered them from that show. You're right. It was a really impactful show. Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Hart, man, was a big part of that show. And then, of course, Josh Wolf has his own show that spun off, Lonnie Love, and, Whitney Cummings. It was, I mean, she pushed a lot of people out there, man. And that's why every time I say it, man, I owe everything to Chelsea. I'll never bad talk that woman. You know what I mean? She's great.
No doubt. Well,
she went to Netflix, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
She went to Netflix to shoot her new show, and she gave me a call, man, and I shot it. So look for that. I'll be on that episode as well.
That is awesome. Well, we are on across the country on CBS Sports Radio. So you've got the Atlanta Improv coming up this weekend, and we're on 680 The Game down there. So that is coming up Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You're going to be in Columbus, Ohio. We're on 95.5 there. That's June 12th, 13th, 14th. You're in Ontario, Canada. We're on out there 19th through the 27th, essentially. In Denver, there.
Ontario, California.
Yeah, Ontario, California. Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Dude, thank you.
Yeah.
You're very nice.
Absolutely. So our listeners can catch you at all these places, but then you've also got other stuff going on. So let everybody know kind of where to watch out for you.
Well, right now I'm currently with Adam Carolla. You know what I mean? I'm doing his show, and listen to that. I also have my own pod with Michael Yo, who's also on Chelsea Lately, and we got our own podcast called The Yo Joe Show. And just look out, man, because my special is about to hit again. I'm about to do my third one, and we're going to tape it by the end of this year. So I'm going to make sure to call you and let you know when it airs, man, if you don't mind.
No doubt, man. And yeah, the Yojo Show is awesome. You can find that on iTunes. Just simply go to iTunes and search the Yojo Show. That's great. And also, as you mentioned, I think all the stuff that you've been doing is on your website, so our listeners can go there, joekoy.com, or follow you on Twitter at Joe Koy, because you always got the links to everything like that. So it's kind of easy to find. You are a busy man, dude. It's awesome.
Thank you so much, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, you know what? Everyone that listens to Corolla always calls me Joe Koy. It drives me crazy. Drives me absolutely insane.
Is that because it's his?
Jokoy.
Yeah,
they call me Joy.
Is that because it's his accent that people are that are kind of picking up on, or what?
Yes. Yeah. It's totally that, man. It drives me nuts.
Yeah, because here we go, Joe Koy.
Joe Koy.
Well, Joe, happy birthday, buddy. Keep the good times going, and we are going to have you in studio next time you're in the NYC.
I'm coming, man. I'll be there.
All right, thanks so much for Jo Koy, comedian, joining us here on the Permission Granted podcast. Really funny dude, and the Chelsea Lately show, it's true, man, launched a lot of careers, and Mraz joins me now. I always found Chelsea Handler so interesting.
Yeah.
Because she was dirty, certainly.
Oh, yeah.
Right? She was dirty-mouthed. She was wildly popular. She did the Comedy Central show, but then she also reportedly slept with or dated or just hooked up with 50 Cent. Remember that?
Yeah, that was a random thing, yeah. And she's very big, too, on the Instagram with just naked booty shots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, she's into, getting kicked off Instagram and testing their limits, which, hey, more power to you.
Yeah, most people don't realize that there's like an Instagram police.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like, that somebody's job is to sit back there and monitor these things. I guess that's for the good, don't get me wrong, but yeah, she really likes testing the limits.
Well, it's weird, and I know you don't have Instagram, but on Twitter, I think you can post anything, right? Maybe there was a decency thing there.
Yeah, but I think it kind of polices themselves. Like, they rely on other people to block or report people, something like that. Where I think Instagram just kind of there are literally people out there searching to get you kicked off.
Because the big thing on social media, like with Twitter, is there are porn stars on there.
Right, absolutely.
And I think they post really dirty stuff, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Is there a limit?
Ironically, there are certain listeners who have sent me some of these pictures.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, there
listeners have helped you out with this?
There is one popular caller to the DA show who follows me on Twitter.
Are we allowed to talk about him or her?
Yeah, you know what? He probably would appreciate the pub. David in Toledo.
Okay.
Hey, DA, permission about the mothership.
Yeah. I'm a seam head, too. I love baseball.
Right. He follows me on Twitter, and he will frequently go, "Hey, Mraz, you got to check out this chick. You got to check out this chick."
Oh,
and he's into very busty women, if you will.
But are they?
They're butt naked in the pictures.
Butt naked,
sitting there, everything showing.
Top, bottom, everything
that you can imagine. And he likes them wild. He likes them. David in Toledo's got a lot going on his search engine.
Okay, so I guess on Twitter you're allowed to post that, but on Instagram you're not.
No, you're not. But I guess that makes sense because Instagram's whole basis is pictures. So in a way, like Twitter is about a million things. So it's almost like since Instagram's base is pictures, they want to keep the pictures decent. If that makes any sense.
Weird. That's really weird.
It is kind of weird. But you know what? Give me pictures of Chelsea Handler over like you did on Trash Sunday. A picture of somebody steaking asparagus.
Yeah, like you were talking about, I was trashing yesterday on Trash Tuesday,
right.
People that put their food on Instagram or put their food on social media. That really bends me out of shape.
I'm guilty of that a lot, but yeah, I understand.
You put your own food on there?
If I feel like I've made something awesome that you're not going to see. I won't put like a hot dog made on the grill, but if I make something, especially on, I do it a lot. That. I do it a lot during football season with the football foods of the week and stuff like that. If I'm making one, I'll put it out there.
I guess it's one thing if you've promoted that you're making this football food of the week and here's how you can make it. I just feel like people are just bragging about how they can cook, and a lot of the stuff isn't that impressive anyway.
You know what I think? I don't think you can cook, and I think it bothers you that other people can cook.
That's completely wrong.
I don't know about that.
Nah.
I think you got something deep down that bothers you with this food thing.
Not at all. Not at all. Look, I number one, half my family's Italian, so our whole livelihood is built around food. You know food. How passionate I am about food. And
right. The other day you were eating like octopus over egg noodles or something.
No, over rice with this like saute that I made myself. And I can actually, and I was single for years, and I was living alone, so I had to cook for myself. Right. I wasn't. I wasn't like Ack or Waller.
Not turning on the stove, ordering the diner every night.
Yeah, these guys have told me, I think it was Waller that told me he's never turned on his stove, that he's only used his microwave.
No, Ack has never turned on his stove.
Oh.
It's Waller who somehow has turned on his stove but doesn't own any pots or pans.
Which, to me, is mind-boggling. And I guess this is because I didn't make a lot of money at the beginning of my career, so I had to cook. I could not afford to eat out all the time.
It's unbelievable. That's $20 a night on dinner at minimum.
Yeah, and I went through my phase of fast food in my early 20s, but I got really sick of it. I OD'd on it, and I could not eat fast food every night. So I had to make my own stuff. And I learned a lot from my mom because she's a great cook. So I actually can cook really well. The biggest thing I hate about social media is currying likes. Like this idea
doubt.
that you put on stuff just to have people give you likes for this
Self-defining, I need this. I need 50 people to like this picture.
You need affirmation. It's like everything in life has to be, I'm going to put this picture because I know I'm going to get 50 likes on it. That will make me feel better about my life. That just bothers me because it's like, whatever you're doing, cooking that, whatever you're eating, we can all do.
Right. Good for you that you're enjoying it. I don't need to know. That's fair. There's a guy who works at WFAN who we share here with CBS Sports Radio who will put up something on Facebook. And if he does not get 10 likes within the first 5 minutes, he has to take it down.
Wow, it's an embarrassing thing.
It's an embarrassing thing. It's sad. It's
that's
a
weird.
Very pathetic state.
That's weird because then that means everything you're putting on, you're just looking for people to affirm what your life is. Right. And that's a weird dynamic.
Who cares? Who cares what people on social media think?
The whole idea you should be putting things on that you want to share.
Of course.
Because this is what my life is. And that's why I think people that put up their smoothie, who cares what's in your smoothie?
Who cares? You could put 3 strawberries, a scoop of peanut butter, and milk in a blender.
I think it's so self-indulgent. So I really hate it because it's so self-indulgent. But you know what? I could be completely hypocritical because I nickname things in my life after my name, like the Diazy Boy.
I was just going to go there.
And Happy Birthday and Saturday morning. So I'm self-indulgent.
Boy, that was 3 real quick there that you rattled
off.
I
know where I sit. At least I'm self-aware here. So first week without Planet Steve-O.
Yeah, it's been odd.
It's run smoothly.
I think that's what's been odd about it, is how smooth the show has run.
Because he's usually in Monday, Tuesdays.
Yeah, so I've gone the first 2 days with Billy Jock alone there, pinch hitting.
Seemed fine.
Fine, and I've worked with Jock alone enough, and yeah, the show has, I hate to say the show hasn't missed a beat. It hasn't missed a beat. The one thing I'll say, though, I do miss Steve-O. What a lot of people don't get to see, when you sign on at the beginning, Steve-O will word for word do your open with you.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm sitting with 2 people doing the open. You're saying everything, and it's like he has it memorized, and he's mouthing it at the same time. And it got to the point where I couldn't stop laughing at it. And in a weird way, I kind of miss it, which I thought I never would, because it just kind of... And now you're just going, I look over, and there's Billy just getting ready for the cold open.
I'm with you. Steve-O made me pull out my hair when he was producing because there were so many things that I said, we need to do this, we have to do this, you have to remember to do this, and he just wouldn't. And he just wouldn't. He took the job seriously, but there's just a lot that gets through the grate. Like, he's a goalie that works really hard on his craft.
But the 5 hole's always open.
But you put him in the game, and you beat him to the 5 hole, and you beat him glove side every time. Right? You just know you can go glove side high. And so he's like that, and you're just so frustrated because you're like, we worked on glove side high, and you just can't stop this shot. But you're right, the last couple of nights, and a lot of the stuff that I will improv in the beginning is to get a laugh out of him because I know he'll really get into it if I say something funny.
His big thing, whenever you would do something because you couldn't hear the sound, would be yeah, like he would have this weird excitement over it, like it really fulfilled his night. All right,
yeah.
I know. And I always look at him like, dude, can we just get through the next 4 hours here?
Yeah, I know. So I missed that as well. I thought how interesting it was that he literally took a job being James Dolan's spy. That is what he is. He is working for Madison Square Garden in what he calls media services. But it's not public relations for either the Rangers or the Knicks.
Which is what he made it seem like when he first was taking the job.
And maybe that's where it goes because I think he wants to get into PR.
Right, it's a stepping stone within the company.
So he might end up doing media relations where, like, you hand out game notes or you end up, being the liaison between the media and players or media and coaches and helping on media days and media availabilities and stuff like that.
Which, by the way, I think is more up his alley than radio. Yeah. Because he's kind of a people person like that. He would make you laugh.
He's a great people person.
Yeah, so I think that's more in his career arc for me.
Probably. So But then he told us, like, where he's starting is he is literally listening to what sports talk shows are saying.
Right.
Then reading transcripts of what sports talk shows are saying. Then reading columns that columnists are writing, reading whatever is on the internet. And he is telling the bosses who is encouraging, who is discouraging, who is, applauding them, and who is criticizing them. Which we always hear this, it's kind of like the urban legend that the Garden has its spies, like it has the Gestapo. And if you are critical, you get pushed out. Now we know they're actually doing that. B, Steve-O is doing that job.
And the way Steve-O presented it, he's the manager of 4 people. So that Steve-O and 4 other schleps in there, and they're sitting in this small room with basically computers in front of all of them with like it's almost like a program that comes up, like anything that mentions Madison, like all these like key words.
Yeah.
And that's how it comes up, and you have all these radio things going on. Everybody's got their headphones. So, yeah, like that urban legend. There is Steve in this small office with 4 people just can't wait to report to the higher-ups who's saying what about Madison Square Garden. It's sick. It is absolutely sick. And then the title, like, Media Services Manager? No.
You're the Gestapo.
Yeah,
you're the MSG Gestapo.
That's not a media service manager.
So it's reminiscent of like a movie about World War II when you have code breakers.
Right.
And everybody's in a bunker listening to the codes coming in, and they have to decipher the codes and then like get that out to the battle lines. And that's what this is. Everyone is bringing in MSG all of the media that's coming in and saying enemy of the state or friend of the state. Enemy of the state or friend of the state.
It's almost like a really weird fraternity where you don't want to say anything bad to get kicked out. Because even when we were talking about it on the air,
he wouldn't say anything.
No, he got super nervous. Like he didn't want to explain what it was. It was almost as if like he knew there were people in a room at that time listening to us talk about it and didn't want to like screw him over out of the job.
Yeah,
I mean, geez, imagine working into a setting like that. Now, I think Steve will fit right in. I have to tell you one thing. If the Knicks win a championship the next couple of years and you got a loose MSG, I think you might have Steve-O to thank.
You are the head coach, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, and general manager of our flag football team.
A slumping flag
football
team.
And I just have to bring this up before the podcast is over. We started off 2-0, and we have not physically won a game since because we only have one other W, and that's via forfeit.
Yes.
So we are 3-5.
Yeah, playing hot at the end was not exactly.
No, we are collapsing at the end. We just lost both ends of a doubleheader on Sunday,
which was brutal.
I'll tell you
the first game, by the way, the team wearing red, so we all had to take off our jerseys to play in the game, and then I had to play in skin-tight white Under Armour, which was not good for anybody.
It was bad. You look like Butterbean out there in the tighty whities in the Under Armour. It was so bad. It was hot. It was aggressive. What was the combined scores that we lost by on Sunday?
The first game we lost, I believe it was 35-6.
35-6,
that sounds
like that.
right.
Yeah.
The second game we got 2 touchdowns. Oh no, it was 35-7 because we were good on the extra points.
Okay.
And we made both extra points. The second game was 14. I believe it was, I want to say...
in the 30s again.
Yeah, I think it was like 35-14. I think we gave up like 70 points on Sunday.
And I know, here's where I know we got blown out. There's a 21-point rule with 2 minutes to play.
18 points, but yeah, with 2 minutes to play, and we reached it both games.
We reached it both games. We were down by 3 touchdowns with the 2-minute warning, and so they just stopped the game.
What's really funny about it is every week the league, there's like 100 teams in the league, and the league puts out like this player of the week, and they have them, like random ones, but the ultimate like league-wide player of the week was the quarterback of the team we played the second game for throwing 5 touchdowns or something like that. They too had a doubleheader following us and played an undefeated team. They won that game. They beat the best team in the league undefeated-wise. Their quarterback and they had this whole write-up, won the player of the week, wrote all the stats, and they wrote, they beat 2 really tough teams, the Young Guns and then whatever this undefeated team was. Wow. I'm reading this, I go, boy, the league hasn't watched us play in the last 2 months if they're calling us tough.
Planet Steve-O needs to get through media services there because
it's tough.
We're collapsing. We're collapsing at the end. Now, we do have a playoff game on Sunday. I'm questionable at best for this game.
We need you, man. We got guys dropping like flies.
I'm banged up.
Sausage King is making sausage. Biseglia is going to Spain. We need you. We need you at corner.
I'm banged up, man.
And we're playing but the good thing is we're playing the team in the playoffs that we beat the first week of the season. So maybe we get a little reboosted energy there.
Maybe. But
all you need, don't let us win one.
That's wrong.
Don't let us win one.
That's wrong. Our spirits were broken on Sunday.
There's no doubt. You looked around at that sideline. I felt bad.
And because we got our asses kicked so bad in game 1, I did not want a game 2. And I know you tried to pick up the spirit saying, hey,
you got to give us something.
And I was just like, I don't want to play again. We just got our heads kicked in. And then we went out there, and our best player got injured on the first drive.
On a touchdown
that he caught, first drive.
That gave us a lead early.
And he didn't come back, and we got demolished again. And I'm telling you, at halftime of game 2, I'm like, can we just call this thing? I just want to go home. And I got an hour's drive out there because I live in the city, and this is out in Long Island. And, man, you have no idea what it's like on a Sunday afternoon when you are coming back tired and sweaty and banged up, and you've just gotten your asses kicked driving an hour plus, because then on a Sunday afternoon it becomes really tough to get in the city.
No question.
Like an hour 20, and you're just like, what the hell, man?
It just happened.
And it's so hot, and it's just
and we're going to be, and by the way, the playoff game at high noon.
I know.
I'm going to be sweating it down.
I know. Go, we had all these 9 o'clock kicks, and then as it gets hotter, now it's later.
Prime time for the playoffs here.
I don't know. You actually were the coach. You were coach of the week the first 2, or GM of the week.
It's falling apart.
And then now you're on the hot seat big time.
You know, it's not just I got a star quarterback who's sailing balls and throwing a lot of interceptions too, which is a problem.
You're pointing the finger.
I got to back off. I'll back off.
All right, so you got Bitter Berman coming up here.
Bitter Bully Berman coming up next.
He's very bitter.
Very bitter. We're going to talk about everything, though. We got donuts coming up, and we're going to talk a little bit the Stanley Cup, too, give our picks.
Permission Granted podcast number 41, downloadable on iTunes and on SoundCloud. Simply search The DA Show CBS Sports. It'll be embedded on Facebook as well, facebook.com/The DA Show, and posted on YouTube, youtube.com/The DA Show.
All right, welcome into Side B of the Permission Granted podcast. I am your executive producer of The DA Show, Sean Mraz. A little bit of an influx week here. James Ward's only in 2 days, and we're taping this podcast kind of early in the week, and we're without another assistant producer since Steve-O has left temporarily. So I'm bringing in the ultimate guest who has appeared on this podcast a couple times. His name is Jay Berman. Jay, hello.
Apparently, what happens, or what has to happen for me to get on the GD podcast is for someone to quit.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, I think that has happened in the past. So anytime somebody leaves the show, you're the guy I'll go to.
I guess.
Now, I bring you on, Jay, because there's something very important we have to talk about going around the newsroom, and it involves donuts.
Yeah.
Okay, we had an intern here this last semester who he liked to bring donuts in from all different places.
That's not all he'd like to do with the donuts.
He ate them himself, too.
Yeah.
But he enjoyed bringing in a healthy couple dozen to us.
Did he ever?
And it usually was on Mondays, I felt like, or any day he was in, but I felt like he was in a lot of Mondays.
He was a Krispy Kreme guy, was he not?
Yeah, but there would be Dunkin'. There was a Tim Horton mixed in there once, too.
I don't think I was here for the Tim Horton ones.
That might have been a Friday. He's mixed and matched. And I watched him bury about 8 Entenmann's donuts as well. Bottom line is this. I know he ended his internship saying he only gained 8 pounds on his internship. I don't think that's a goal. But he also hooked us all on the sugar fix. It's like that episode of Seinfeld where Elaine, wants out of the cake every day.
Yeah.
And it's got me. So yesterday when I was walking to the studio after I parked, there's a Dunkin' Donuts a couple blocks up, and I'm passing the Dunkin' Donuts en route to work. I pop in, and instead of being a good team player, I did not get donuts for the whole staff. Instead, I just got one sneaky donut, figured nobody would ever know about it, I eat it. I walk out the door, I take one bite, and there's Doug Gottlieb standing on the corner looking right at me and goes, I thought you were on a diet, big guy. It was a real disgrace, and I was embarrassed, I was mortified, but I had to come clean with you, knowing before he did. So now I ask you, Jay, are you missing the sugar fix a little bit now that this intern is gone? Are you doing anything like I'm doing?
There was an initial withdrawal.
There's Vienna fingers out there right now that I saw you bury a couple of them.
I buried like 6 of them. I felt nauseous ever since. Those things are dry.
They are. Vienna fingers, it's almost like popcorn. You get one of those like a cookie kernel stuck on the back of your throat, you're going to start dry heaving.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyways, I have survived the initial withdrawal, and I'm good to go.
You're good to go, but there was a withdrawal.
The sad thing is that if there were donuts in there now, I'd press 2 together and eat them like one.
Now, at the beginning of his internship when he was bringing in these donuts, were you happy that he was bringing in? Did you get to a point where you were tired of it?
I didn't know that this would be a recurring theme.
Right.
Which got old fast.
It did, because as much as it's a nice gesture...
you have no willpower.
Yeah, you can't. So you sit there and you're poking away. And I soon learned, and it became evident to me, that the only reason they were brought in was to justify his eating of donuts. You know, like, he's not the type that would just buy the two and eat it. Like, he somewhere subconsciously felt as if, by bringing donuts to everybody, I'm justified in eating a bunch of donuts.
It's a lot like what James Thunder Ward suggested it was, which is blood money.
We've discussed this.
He did not do it so that it would put a smile on your face. He would do it for two reasons. One, so he could eat donuts, because he's a pig. And two...
Is that nice?
Because it would put a smile on his face. It was blood money. It was a way for him to feel good about himself.
And I hope he did. But now I'm sitting here as a guy who was trying to do my diet shakes, bananas and stuff, and I still got the itch, man. I'm a sugar addict now. I'm sitting there, I get the scratch.
Because you're sneaking into Dunkin' Donuts by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it was 1:30, 2 o'clock every day. A glaze would go right down the chute. I don't have that anymore. Yeah. It's a bad...
Remember when
I need rehab. Well, I need donut rehab.
Your Dunkin' Donuts Doug Gottlieb fiasco was a lot like you going over to the box in the middle of the newsroom, taking a knife and cutting the donut in half, pretending that after you turned around with half the donuts, that you wouldn't do a quick U-turn and bury the second half.
I had to try everything I could. I felt like if I just got a taste but didn't eat the whole donut, I'd be okay.
Just know that you contributed to Joe the intern's happiness, if you will.
No, listen, he was very friendly, and I'm gracious that he was nice enough to bring me food and stuff like that. I'm an addict now. I'm hooked on sugar, and I'm having a tough time weaning off.
Are you close to your playing weight?
Well, my playing weight was raised a little on vacation. I'm about 3 pounds away from getting back to where I was.
Times how many?
What do you mean, times? Shut up.
3 times what, 10?
No, stop. Now, the other reason I wanted to bring you on here, we do somewhat of the hockey talk on the show, but I obviously, they call me Don Cherry Alamode, as you would call me Mr. Hockey. You're also a hockey guy. Well, that's because
you're a complete fraud.
I'm not a complete fraud.
You could tell everybody about the Keith Yandel trade. You didn't know who he was. You didn't know what team he was on.
Are you kidding me?
You were a complete fraud.
I've watched more Coyote games in my life than you have.
You're a complete fraud.
Are you going to disrespect me on my podcast?
No, I'm not disrespecting you. I'm dropping knowledge. I'm dropping hashtag facts here, buddy.
All right, hashtag facts. Anyway, I wanted to gauge this, and I figured we could do just a couple minutes here on the Stanley Cup, because I know we have plenty of puckheads who listen. Yeah, I said puckheads. How do you like that? Jay, I want a prediction on the Stanley Cup here, and tell me why.
I think Blackhawks in less than 7.
In less than 7?
Yeah. And
I mean, can you give me a firm number there? What are you doing? Give me a number. Don't go, less than 7. It's just not going to go 7.
Blackhawks in 5.
In 5?
5. I don't think it's going to be much of a series.
I disagree. I'll take the Blackhawks, but I'm going Blackhawks in 6, not 5. I know it's not much to say one game.
Okay, well, 6 is in Chicago, so that's probably why you do that, right?
Yes.
2-2-1-1-1.
Although the Blackhawks, obviously, look what they did in Anaheim.
And in hockey, honestly, it's the sport that means the least.
Look what Tampa did in New York.
Both
those
of them
games.
did it.
Yeah.
1 Game 7's on the road.
100%. So I think not enough people are giving Tampa Bay credit at all.
I give Tampa a lot of credit. In fact, I think, although I was surprised that they beat the Rangers, I wasn't surprised because I didn't think Tampa was good enough. I was more surprised because it seemed like it was a spot the Rangers never lose in.
Right.
But Tampa is a team that in the last 3 years of this mini Ranger run, if you will, Tampa's a team, probably the best team the Rangers have faced with one exception, and that's the Kings last year in the finals, because the Kings were the best team in hockey last year. But through the Pittsburghs and the Washingtons,
Tampa's way better than them.
All the teams that the Rangers had little trouble with, despite the fact that they constantly went to Game 7s, Tampa is way better than all those teams.
Which is why, and the reason one of the main reasons Tampa's better than those teams, you're going to give me Crosby, you're going to give me Ovechkin. Stamkos, best player on the ice in these games.
And by the way, there were games, or especially early in the season, where Stamkos was invisible. But when he made his presence felt, he was unstoppable.
And which is why I give Tampa a leg up to make this more competitive than most people think. You can give me Taves, Kane, the whole deal. Stamkos will be the best player on the ice in the Stanley Cup.
You know what this feels like a little bit? And I won't use 98, the 98 Padres, because it's not that the Padres weren't good, but the Yankees were so much better. But it was the fact that the Yankees were already this esteemed bunch of guys. They had a tremendous regular season. They'd just won a title 2 years before. And the Padres were playing a little bit over their heads. And they were playing with a bunch of guys, with a few exceptions. Kevin Brown and
who melted down on the mound in that series.
But the point is that it just feels like a mismatch to me. It feels like the Blackhawks have been there for so long and have guys that are so well suited for this kind of pressure. And the Lightning, for the most part, top to bottom, don't have any of those guys.
Right, and the Blackhawks are going to test Ben Bishop a lot more than the Rangers did. Ben Bishop got 2 shutouts. Have you ever seen a goalie do less to get 2 shutouts in playoff games?
No, it was those were system shutouts. There's no doubt about it. But I also say this: perhaps we're not giving enough credit to Tampa. I don't think the Rangers had nearly the offense we thought that they did.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Guys went invisible. St. Louis was invisible. Nash was so streaky. But, yeah, I mean, I think Stamkos best player on the ice in the series. And you give me a Stamkos, Tyler Johnson, people don't want to hear that. Maybe a lot of people still don't know.
It's not better than Taves and Kane.
It's a lot closer than people think, though.
No.
It's not better as a tandem, but it's close.
All right. Well, I'm going on 5 years. You're going on 2.5 series. So
yes,
I'll take the 5 years.
Okay, and I'm taking the Blackhawks to win too. I just think we're very quick to shun this as a 5-game series. I don't think Tampa's poor, and I like Tampa a lot, and I think Tampa's going to be a force to reckon with for years to come. This is a dynasty. This is an absolute dynasty. To suggest it's anything, but you do not need to repeat to be a dynasty. No.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Especially in hockey, it's about winning playoff series year after year.
They have the coach. They have the captain. They have the
same
snipers.
goalie.
They have the veterans. And Corey Crawford's not great. I would suggest even that Bishop and Crawford are pretty similar. The distance between Bishop and Crawford is a lot less than the difference between Lundqvist and Bishop. So I think that's even a wash.
You might have the 2 best defensemen in hockey, too, in Victor Hedman and Duncan Keith.
Those guys are going to get 30-plus minutes every single game.
No doubt. Be interesting. Well, Jay, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for finally, in a charitable way, allowing me back on, despite the fact that it came at the expense of someone's job.
We'll see you in 2 months. How about that?
Good looking out.
All right. Thanks, Jay. So, Jay Berman, you can follow my Twitter at Jay Berman. The guy's finally over 1,000 followers, so hopefully he keeps that up and continues to grow. You can check me out on Twitter at Mraz CBS. So, Berms, Lightning in 5. Blackhawks in 5. I will go Blackhawks in 6. Donuts, hockey, what more do you want on Side B, the Permission Granted podcast? Thank you guys for listening. Take care. Have a great weekend.